Never felt that, come on, yeah. Never felt that, come on, yeah. When I never felt that, come on, yeah. You gotta get up.
We're going to break section 4 into a couple parts because just like section 3, there's a couple of videos that I want you definitely to watch, and they're too long to put into one video. So we're going to break it up, and then I'll put those on Ed Puzzle. The last time we were together, we were talking about Normandy and the Normandy invasion. The Third Reich will collapse. That is, of course, Germany. But the point of it, if you look at this GIF, you can see the red spot, and at the top you can see the dates rolling. It's not going to happen overnight. This is going to be drawn on, and it's not immediately obvious that this is going to be successful. Now, part of the problem is that lower right-hand picture, hedgerows, and you can see them from the air in the picture above that. Those are bushes, trees that are planted and then trained to form a barrier marking boundaries between one person's property and another. But if you look where they're standing, they just formed natural defensive positions, foxholes. We will, if we continue to watch this, that red will continue to get to Paris. That individual is Charles de Gaulle. If you remember, he was the leader of the Free French forces when the country of France fell to the Germans. He went to England and set up a government in exile. The Allies allowed him to be the first military leader into the city of Paris, immediately followed by us. Now Hitler's going to try one last major assault to break through the Allied lines and then force us to a treaty which keep the Nazis in power. Those on the left, that's the American, the U.S. 101st Airborne, completely isolated and surrounded at a town called Bastogne, a road junction in an area where there just weren't a lot of roads. So if you take that, you control the area. When the Germans felt that we could take no more, they sent a messenger over asking whether or not we would surrender, and the Brigadier General Anthony C. McAuliffe, who was in charge, that's him, his response was, it's actually carved into the front of a museum there. Eventually, though, the 7th Cavalry, and today's 7th Cavalry looks like that, and they will be relieved by the 7th Cavalry, led by that Patton guy again. So here, April 25th, the U.S. and Russian soldiers actually meet. This is not the end of the Germans, but we have pushed from the east and the west and formed our first contact. Just because things were bad, the Germans still had the technological advantage. That's a V-1 rocket known as a buzz bomb. That is the world's first cruise missile. That was developed by the German Navy, I believe, and the Air Force, the V-2 rocket.
In World War II, Germany fielded the first successfully weaponized rockets. The V-2 rocket was the world's original military ballistic missile. During tests, the V-2 was the first man-made object to be launched into space. During deployment, it was the first ballistic missile to kill and terrorize thousands.
Werner von Braun will be the German scientist primarily responsible for that V-2 rocket program. I believe your book describes him or says something about the fact that the Nazis took advantage of his great desire to reach the moon. We paint him in a sympathetic light because after the war, he will come to the United States and he will work for us and he will help develop our Apollo project and getting the Americans to the moon. April 30th, 45, it's the end of Adolf Hitler. There he is in his bunker. That's his wife, Eva Braun. His wife will use cyanide. He will use a pistol. They will commit suicide. And because Hitler is Hitler, I will take any opportunity that I have to ridicule him. And so just for no other reason than that, there's Adolf Hitler in shorts. Almost immediately thereafter, VE Day, which stands for Victory in Europe. General Keitel will be the German general who will sign the peace treaty. They initially wanted to sign a treaty with the English and the Americans and continue fighting the Soviets, but we told them, no, you have to surrender to everybody or nobody at all. Shortly thereafter, FDR is going to die in Warm Springs, Georgia. Truman will come to power, and he's pretty much been held at arm's length by FDR, so he doesn't really have a lot of idea what's going on. If we switch to the Pacific, we're going to take Iwo Jima. That is the classic photo that came out of World War II. That is the Marine Monument in Washington, D.C. It's larger than life. Iwo Jima was a tremendous amount of loss of life due to rough terrain and quite a complicated, intricate system of underground bunkers that you can see offered great protection. Yeah, he's standing in a bad place right there. That's the information that I wanted you to get to. I'm going to stop here. You're immediately going to go to Edpuzzle and watch the American firebombing of Japan. This is going to be really significant when it comes to that final question about how much evil can you do to do good. So you're going to need to be able to talk about the firebombing as necessary or evil. And then you're going to need to be able to talk about the firebomb and what we're going to talk about the next time, and that's the atomic bomb. In conjunction, was it necessary to both firebomb Japan and use 2 nuclear weapons on them?